Heidi Stevens, business coach for creative women entrepreneurs, and I am so excited to be back here with you for our third and final video of this week. If you haven't watched the first two, be sure to go and check those out. The first video, I talk a lot about why it is so important to be really clear on what your vision is, what your goals are, to have those written down, and your big why. And I have a workbook that's included in that first video to take you through that process. So I've already gotten several emails on people sharing that they got a lot out of that workbook, so be sure to go check that out. In the second video, I offer tips and strategies on how to get more comfortable selling. You know, I hear from a lot of women that they feel squeamish and awkward, which I totally get. You know, selling is one of those things that we're somehow just supposed to be great at. When a lot of us didn't have any training or didn't have any know-how, you know, all of a sudden we're just become business owners. So go and check that out. I offer a different perspective that you may just find interesting. So check out that video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the foundational elements that you really, really need to have in order to create an online business for it to grow and ultimately scale. You know, anyone can kind of have a skill set or a hobby that they can go out and get, you know, one client or sell one item or you know, kind of make ends meet, if you will. But if you really desire to create a business for yourself, there are foundational elements that you need to have and need to know in order for that to happen. So I'm going to start with one of the basics, and this is something that you've probably heard before and that you've probably in some way, shape, or form done some work around, and that is, who is your ideal client? And here's why this is so important. I don't care if you've been in business for 10 years or if you've been in business for 2 weeks or if you're just starting out. What I find is that almost every single one of the clients and the women that come and work with me, that we have to do work around this. Because here's the thing, is that if you've evolved over the years or if you've changed or if your goals have suddenly up-leveled, there may just be a good chance that you also need to up-level the people that you are working with. And if you are brand new and you don't know exactly who your ideal client is, this is the way to get your foundation going and to get your business off the ground. The thing is that when you are talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. And this is something that I really struggled with at the beginning. You know, I know a lot of creatives and coaches and consultants. For most of us, there's a very wide range of kind of gifts and services and offerings that we're able to give to our clients. And at the beginning, you know, I was like, I know I'm a business coach and I know that there's so much that I can do to help someone with their business, but I also do a lot of like personal development and life coaching stuff. And I also talk a lot about spirituality and healing and mindset work. And like I was all over the map. And it took me some time, and it took me going out and finding my own mentor and coach to really, really drill down on not only what was my own kind of branding and marketing and messaging, but more importantly, who was that client that I was meant to serve and meant to work with. And I want to give you a few tips here. You know, one of the things that kind of comes up when I'm working with people is that they say, well, here's who I'm currently working with. And they look at that pool of people that they're currently working with and they go, you know, this happened to me too. Like my first 5 clients, you know, one of them was 22 and one of them was 65 and one of them was completely brand new in her business, and the other one was in real estate and had been doing real estate for a decade. And then one of them was a graphic designer and one of them was in entertainment. And I mean, literally, it was like this huge range. The only thing they had in common was that they were women and that they were business owners. And while I am capable of serving and supporting and coaching that wide range of person, if I tried to speak and market to every single one of them, none of them would know like if I was their person or not, right? So what I want you to hear is that it doesn't mean that you can't work with a wide range. I still to this day work with a very wide range of person and of client, but it doesn't mean that I'm speaking to that wide range every single day. So the more that you can get super, super zoned in and clear on who is your ideal client, who is it that you ultimately would want 25 of, right? Like who is it that you ultimately want to work with day in and day out? And I want you to dig in and get to know every single thing about this person. Most likely, they are a version of your own story. You know, if you were transitioned from corporate, or if you struggled with XYZ, or you know, a lot of health coaches, if they had a big health scare and then they transition, most likely your ideal client is somewhere in your past in some way, shape, or form. Not everybody, but get to know your person. Know what their ultimate desires are. Get to know what their biggest goals are. Get to know what their dreams look like, and get to know what their challenges are, where they're most struggling, and then start to figure out what is the solution that you can offer. Okay? And when you're speaking to them, I want you to speak to them in a way of not how do you get there, like what's your process, but more importantly, what is it that you can where can you get them? What is the end result, right? So for example, for me, I work with creative women entrepreneurs to ultimately get them to a minimum of $10,000 a month or more, because at the core, my clients, they ultimately want to know how to make more money, right? That's why all of us started businesses, most likely in the first place, like to afford a life, right? To pay our bills. And so, yes, like I end up, the how is creating packages and talking about your Instagram profile and creating a brand and creating copy and messaging and knowing your elevator pitch and like all of these different things, which I'm going to go through right now. But while those matter and I work with people on them every single day, day in and day out, right? It's not what they ultimately want. So the same for you. I want you to think about what is your ideal client's ultimate goal, ultimate desire, and come from that place when you're starting to create your copy and your messaging. These are the foundational elements that you really need to know and have a grasp on in order to set up a foundation for yourself to then be able to scale in the online world. Like I've mentioned, you need to be super clear on the packages that you're offering. Now, there's a few industries of women that I work with that the packages don't make sense. Professional organizing, I have like 5 professional organizing clients for whatever, like it just doesn't totally make sense. They need to still be more of a kind of per hour basis, but there's categories, right, that they can be in. Maybe you're more of a closet stylist or closet, detox versus a garage, or there's different kind of categories. Also, interior design is one of those that like it's pretty hard to create packages around those. But if you are a coach, if you're a designer, if you're a photographer, if you're a stylist, those are absolutely industries that you 100% can create a package around. Obviously, real estate is one that you don't end up creating a package around. It's just a commission. But the wealth consciousness and the money mindset pieces are huge for that, so that you can always negotiate the higher rate. Okay, so being clear on your packages, knowing the price points that go in with those packages, and making sure that they make sense. Okay, you don't want to be so many women coming to me and like the price points for the packages, and also just the packages, they'll have like 5 packages or 5 packages plus add-ons, and it's just, you need to have packages that make sense. You need to start creating, if you don't already, right, know where your people are in terms of being on social, and start creating a foundation. I want you guys to really, really, really hear something. 14 months ago, when I started rebranding myself as a coach, before I was doing it in the real estate field, et cetera, when I decided to get online, 14 months ago, I had 400 people following me on Instagram, okay? Now I have 3,500. I know that even 3,500 in today's world is not super impressive or huge, and I have desires to grow that bigger, right? And I'm constantly looking at the strategy behind that. But my point is that in 1 year, you can make major strides. People are finding me on Instagram all the time now. 14 months ago, I did not have a Facebook business page. I now have over 3,000 women that follow me on that page. I did not have a Facebook group. Heck, 6 months ago, I didn't have a Facebook group. And now there's over 1,700 women in that Facebook group, okay? So when you start putting these pieces in place, they start building on each other, right? And it really can start snowballing. So you need to create a foundation for yourself on social in terms of where your people are. For some of you, it may not make sense to be on Instagram or vice versa. And for some of you, it may make sense to be on Pinterest, even though I encourage people to really focus on Facebook and Instagram. You need to know what your brand stands for and be able to capture that in photography, and then how to be able to start pairing copy and messaging to it. And then you absolutely 100% have to start creating an email list and creating an opt-in and freebies so that you can start organically building that list and set yourself up so that when it's time to start getting into advertising and Facebook advertising, if that's what you desire, to then start using those opt-ins and freebies in that way. Now, here's what I know to be true. I'm a big fan of Facebook ads. I have been using them. There's a good chance that if you're new to my list that you found me that way. That being said, I have been able to take clients over and over again, and myself last year, to consistent $10,000 months without advertising. So just know that yes, it's an area that I love, and we can dive in and talk about it, but it's not an area that you have to do if it doesn't feel like in alignment or exciting for you. So I know that is a lot of information, and I get it. It is, and I'm not gonna mince words. It is a lot to start a business, and when you start creating these foundational pieces, they really start to build on each other, and it can start having a snowball effect, which is really, really fun and super exciting. So in order to get you to that next step of, creating those packages and knowing those price points and knowing, how to speak to your ideal clients, I want to invite you to a free training that I'm doing next Monday, February 5th. Okay, I'm going to be talking about how to speak to your ideal clients, and so many, women, especially newer entrepreneurs that are new to business, they say, where do I find my ideal clients? Like, that's their biggest question, is where do I find my ideal clients? I'm going to tell you right now, that's the wrong question to be asking. Okay, so stop asking that question. I'm going to be telling you the questions that you do need to be asking, both of yourself and your potential clients, in order to start attracting them and bringing more of them into your space, into your community. So that's number one. And like I said, we're gonna be talking about packages. And then we're also gonna be talking about, there's so much information out there about what online systems to use. And it's overwhelming. I can tell you, I spent a lot of time and energy this past year, and my team's energy, on going through 3 or 4 different email platforms and trying 4 different planning things on Instagram and just trying Trello and trying this, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting, and I want to support you. Cut through the noise. Stop wondering what it is you should be using. I'm going to go through a list and tell you the 5 or 7 systems and software that you need to know just in order to get this off the ground. It doesn't need to be confusing. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. You just pick them. I'm using them. They're working for me. And you don't need to get more complicated than that. And then one last thing, make sure that you do sign up in this link, because I'm not going to be streaming this live from my Facebook business page or my private Facebook group. You do need to sign up below through the link and look for your email with the link that has this training on it. So be sure to do that. I cannot wait to see you next Monday. Have an amazing weekend, and I will see you live on Monday. Okay, take care and have a great one. Bye-bye.